You wish you could work at this design studio. Today on Agency Spotlight, we're taking a dive into Bureau Borsche, a small independent design studio out of Munich, Germany, working with some of the biggest brands in fashion, sports, and contemporary art. Bureau Borsche is a namesake agency founded by designer Mirko Borsche. You've more than likely seen his work with fashion labels such as Balenciaga and Supreme, and even the iconic football team Inter Milan. Bureau Borsche has made a name for themselves being the studio that pushes the boundaries of branding and design in the world of contemporary art and culture. They are truly the designer's designer, and I'm excited to talk with you about them. I'm Ziggy the Designer. Design is all around us, so we might as well talk about it. We love a small, independent design studio here at Ziggy the Designer, and Bureau Borsche is exactly that. This is a namesake, eponymous, whatever you want to call it, studio founded by designer and art director Mirko Borsche out in Munich, Germany. Borsche started the studio in 2007 after spending years working as an art director and creative director in the advertising, automotive, and editorial spaces. Working alongside brands such as Mini, which is a part of the BMW group, and Die Zeit, a news publication out of Germany. Close to 17 years after opening Bureau Borsche, it's become one of the most well-regarded, cutting edge, and to speak casually, one of the coolest design studios in the world, and to be frank, one of the most underrated. You never really see this studio get any love, and that's what I'm here to do. I'm here to talk about them. Let's go ahead and take a look at two of my favorite projects from them. The first project we're going to look at is their visual identity for Rimowa. We've all been in that situation, waiting at the airport, waiting for your flight to start boarding, and suddenly the couple that's a little too, well dressed for an hour-long flight comes out of the Centurion Lounge with their metal luggage. Rimowa is the metal luggage that they're carrying, and seeing this branding, it's easy to think, it's just another high-end brand with a simple sans serif word mark for a logo. Here's where I feel that statement is wrong. What you're going to see all over this brand is mono-weight typography and mono-weight line work. What does this do for the visual identity of Rimowa? Well, let's look at the luggage, right? Look at the product. In the world of metal luggage, you can identify a Rimowa bag by the ridges. You can see them, going up and down all across the all across the bags, and they take the shape of monoweight lines. So when we go back to the visual identity, as simple as this element might be, the monoweight line work and the monoweight typeface, it does a great job of referencing the actual product that Rimowa offers, all while unifying the visual identity. And to balance it out, the visual identity does employ colorful, vibrant, and expressive illustration. It's a very heavy contrast to what the rest of the identity looks like, but that contrast comes in handy. It really brings everything to life. You can tell that this is a project where Mirko Borsche and the team really reached into their experience working with contemporary art organizations. This is some of their best work. But it doesn't top the work that they've done with the Bavarian State Opera. The Bavarian State Opera feels so random, right? But this is really some of their best work. Bureau Borsche has been working with the Bavarian State Opera since their 2010 season, so well over a decade partnership here. And even the work they did back then in 2010 was, pushing the boundaries of visual aesthetics. The bulk of the work that they do is branding each season. So highlighting the shows, highlighting the stories, highlighting the people that make it all happen. So what did the most recent season look like? The most recent season on the studio's website is the 2022 to 2023 season. So that's what we're going to look at. The theme of this particular season was songs of war and love. And you can really feel that with the use of color. I love that they led with color. Color is such an emotional element, much in the same way that opera is such an emotional performance. To use color to represent the opera is a fantastic way of showing emotion without, really showing emotion, you know what I mean? And it's not that they just decided to make color the main visual element here. It's also the colors that they chose. They are leading with red. Red is such it's an emotional color, but it's also a very fluid color. In time with the theme, red does represent love. And in this case, it's complemented by pinks and purples and oranges to really bring it to life. And but while it represents love, it also represents blood. A consequence of war. Both are very emotional, passionate moments tied by the same color. And I love how this fluidity of red is captured through the use of gradients. I love how the gradients look wrapped around the pillars in front of the opera house. I love how the gradients look in the show posters. And I love how the gradients become this live, interactive element as the sides of the program books are gilded in metallic red. This project is the perfect example of the importance of keeping strong client relationships, because you can only do something this abstract after working with someone for over 10 years. You can't do this day one. You have to, this is the result of relationship building. So bravo, Bureau Borsche, not just for the work, but maintaining such a strong client relationship. That's really impressive. And this work is really just scratching the surface for Bureau Borsche. This team, as we mentioned before, has worked with Balenciaga, Supreme, and the iconic football team Inter Milan. And that Inter Milan project is huge. We'd need a separate episode just to talk about it. Let me know in the comments if that's something you want to see. But yeah, all the work that comes out of Bureau Borsche is stunning. As I said earlier, this is, they're really the designer's designer. So why should we care about Bureau Borsche? Much of the branding and visual identity work we see nowadays is coming from these massive agencies out of places like New York, London, and even here in Chicago. These are agencies that are built up of hundreds of people and have the backing of large agency conglomerates like Leo Burnett or Omnicom or Publicis. We're looking at agencies like Interbrand, one of the foremost branding agencies in the world. They're owned by Omnicom, which low-key sounds like the villainous organization in a video game. And another example is Landor, another branding agency. They're owned by WPP. And then, of course, there's Pentagram, built up of some of the most prolific designers to have ever lived. And yet, with all of these people, all of this money, and all of these resources, there's Bureau Borsche, the independent 10-person team with no ties to a major agency holding company. Bureau Borsche outclasses them all. Bureau Borsche shows that you don't need to come from a shiny city, you don't need to have a massive team, and you don't need to be part of one of these giant agency conglomerates to do great boundary-pushing work. Great design can come from anywhere, and great design can come from anyone. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. That's all I have for you today. Be sure to like, follow, and share. I've been Ziggy the Designer. If there are 2 things you need to know about me, it's that 1, I love design, and 2, I'm very opinionated. I'll talk with y'all later. Bye-bye.